Okay, thanks for joining our How to Do Business with the California State webinar. My name is James Forrest. I'm the program coordinator for the Northern California Procurement Technical Assistance Center, which is kind of a long title as far as titles go. So we have an acronym. We go by Norcal PTAC. So you are in for a treat because we have Wayne Gross here. Wayne, if you want to undo your video there, get your video started. I can see your face. Wayne Gross is the Business Outreach Liaison with the Office of Small Business and DVBE Services with the California Department of General Services, the DGS. So Wayne is delivering the main presentation today. I've worked with Wayne before and it's always a pleasure. I'm going to hand things over to him in just a minute, but first I do want to talk a bit about our own services on the PTAC half of this partnership webinar. So Norcal PTAC, we are a nonprofit program. We're set up to help small businesses achieve success in the government marketplace. We're funded mostly by the Defense Logistics Agency, that's the DLA. We also get grant funding from state and local sources. And all of this means we provide all of our services to you at no cost. So it's good news. We're happy to be here to help you out. We're hosted by the Humboldt State University Sponsored Programs Foundation, which is located up in Arcata, California. You can see that little red star on the map. We're way up there on the North Coast. Last year, Norcal PTAC helped our clients win more than $268 million in government contracts, and we are well on our way to breaking that figure this year quite a bit. So you come to the right place if you'd like to win government contracts. The way we do this, the way we help our clients and the public, with three basic core services. The first one is one-on-one counseling. This is the bread and butter of what we do for our clients. So we have a team of procurement specialists and they can meet with you individually with just about any government contracting topic you can think of. If your business is located in this service area that I've highlighted in green on the slide here, then you can apply for services and we can meet with you via phone, video conference, etc., and walk you through all of these processes that are required to sell your goods and services to the government. The second thing we offer are these regular in-person and virtual workshops, more on the virtual side these days for obvious reasons, on government contracting topics that we think are going to be useful for you. So our partnership with the DGS is an example of one of these efforts. These are open to anyone to join from anywhere, so you don't have to be in one of these counties. Probably many of you are outside of our service area, and that's totally fine. Third thing we can do is set up our clients with a free bid matching service with daily access to federal, state, local, and even prime contractor opportunities. So with this tool, you're going to be notified if a bid request is posted that matches your desired criteria. You can stay on top of the opportunities made available to you. So this is a service that we do for our clients. So the first and the third are client-based, and the second one is open to everybody. If your business is located in one of these areas, the way you apply is to go to our website at norcalptac.org. We've put it on the slide there. There's a red apply now button on the top. If you click that, create an account, fill out steps 1 through 7 and hit save, and it will go over to me. I'll get you assigned to a procurement specialist if you are eligible within 2 business days. If you have ever worked with the Small Business Development Center at SBDC in our region before, you should instead email me at info@norcalptac.org and we'll send you a special link to apply. We share a database with them. So we are actually just one of 94-ish. The number changes a bit. PTACs nationwide. So we are a whole network of centers independently run. So if you're not in one of our counties, the chances are you are in the jurisdiction of another PTAC. So that's good news because then you can just look up your local PTAC and apply for them. We all offer similar services in different areas. So a little bit of housekeeping here. Everyone has started out muted for today's presentation. That is our default, just to keep things nice and clean, but we really want you to ask questions, and Wayne is big on questions. We've put Q&A slides throughout the whole presentation so that you can enter your questions as soon as they pop in your head. They will go into the Q&A feature here. In this version of Zoom, there's a chat and there's a Q&A. For the chat, we're going to use that to post special links. If you're having trouble with your audio or joining, or you have some other more technical related question, not content based, you can put that in the chat. But if you'd like your question read aloud during the Q&A, or the Q&As, plural, then go ahead and enter in the Q&A feature, and I'll either type an answer or read it aloud. So you'll have a lot of chances to get your questions answered during this process, so please be thinking of them as we go along. And one more reminder is that we are going to be recording this session. We're recording right now, and then these slides, as well as the video recording, will be made available to everyone later today. So rest assured, if you don't want to take notes, if you just want to take it all in and enjoy Wayne's voice, you can do that too. You'll have access to the slides later today. I do want to give a plug. I'm going to talk about some of our upcoming events later, but we do have a follow-up webinar on this one tomorrow, another one with the DGS with California. So if you liked what you heard today, there will be a follow-up with different content tomorrow. So stay tuned to learn more about that. You can go to our website, norcalptac.org/calendar to find more upcoming events. All right, I think we've come to the time for the main presentation. So I want to hand things over to Wayne, who I do not see yet. I hope you're there.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you, yeah, but
okay.
I don't see your face yet. So
okay, here we go.
There we go.
Here I am.
All right, folks, this is Wayne Gross.
Hello, everyone.
All right, take it away.
Okay, let's have that first slide. Okay. Again, my name is Wayne Gross, and today I'm doing a presentation on how to do business with California state government. Next slide. Here is my email, wayne.gross@dgs.ca.gov. I highly recommend that you write that down, as well as my phone number, 916-230-4417. And I like to do a sidebar on myself, in that I'm your atypical state worker. My scheduled hours are Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. to 4 p.m. Unfortunately, the question that you have will probably happen during, I don't know, Dancing with the Stars on a Monday night. And, you know, you go, well, I have to wait until 7 o'clock to call or text Wayne. No, text me, you know, and don't be surprised if you get an answer that night or whenever, or I may just say, you know, hey, more detail, please call me at 9 o'clock or whatever at this number. So just kind of remember that, put that in, you know, in your memory banks. So I am officially a business outreach liaison, and I am located here in Sacramento. Unfortunately, because of COVID-19, I've been grounded, but normally I travel up and down the state. I've been doing it for about 13 years, and I'm one of 9 of us now, business outreach liaisons who can help you. Next slide. So here are our topics. Next one. We're going to do an overview of the Small Business DVBE program. SB standing for Small Business, DVBE standing for Disabled Veteran Business Enterprise, and I'll be calling it just DVBE for simplicity's sake. We'll talk about the state certifications, certification benefits, the Cal eProcure registration and certification. You are, I love to use the expression KISS, keep it simple, stupid. Our certification is very simple, and you can get certified within 30 minutes, unless you have some extenuating of circumstances. But basically, you can get it all done in one sitting. Next slide. We're going to talk about keywords and the UNSPSC codes. UNSPSC stands for United Nations Specialty Product Specialty Codes. That's what the state of California uses. If you do any federal or local certifications, you may have another type of codes called the NAICS, N-A-I-C-S, National Association Northern America Industry Code System. Totally different system. So when you're talking to state agencies, you are 99% of the time going to be talking about the UNSPSC code. Next slide. We'll be talking about where you can find current bid information. Next slide. I'm going to show you where past purchases are. And the reason that we show you this is many times people will go, do you buy what I'm trying to sell? And I show you where we have bought everything when we went online on December, I think it was December 12th, 2015. So from that point forward, you can see all of the purchases that we made and who the point of contact is, the actual buyer. Next slide. We're going to talk about the small business DVBE advocates. Any state agency that procures $100,000 or more must have an advocate. These are the gatekeepers of the different agencies. And these are the people you need to become their new best friends. Next slide. We're going to talk about commercially useful function, or CUF. You'll hear that all from now on. And basically it's saying you do what you say you can do. And I'll go into more details there. So, and then I'll give you a list of resources, of which the Norcal PTAC is one of them. The one thing he didn't mention, that all of this is free. You can't beat the cost. There are people out there who do want to charge, but like I said, especially with the state certification, it is so simple that you will be able to do it and get certified. Okay, next slide. So we have two goals. We have an aspirational goal of 25% for small businesses and a DVBE goal. It's a mandatory goal of at least 3%. Next slide. Normally, we spend about $10.5 billion, of which 25% goes to, that's $2.2 billion goes to small business, and DVBE is $336 million. Unfortunately, this past year, because of the fires and COVID-19, we did not meet our 25% small business goal. We did, however, exceed our DVBE goal, and it has been exceeded for the past 9 years. Next slide. So we have 3 certifications: small business for public works, and the DVBE certifications. Next slide. Now, here again, this is our KISS principle. Listen to these requirements. You must be independently owned and operated. You can't be dominant in your field of operation. And I always go, what does that mean? Can't be dominant in your field of operation. Basically, it means there's competition out there. You're not the only one that can do it. Next, must have your principal office in California. Yes, we don't want any of the riffraff from Oregon, Arizona, Pennsylvania, whatever. This is your program. And the owners and officers in case of a corporation must be domiciled here in California. Next slide. And together with affiliates, business with 100 or fewer employees and have gross annual receipts, you'll hear that, that's GARs, G-A-R, of 15 million or less. And that's an average over the last 3 tax years. Or if you happen to be a manufacturer, You only have an employee restriction of 100 or fewer employees. There is no GARS restriction for the small business certification. Next slide. The next one is for public works. Now this certification was created, let's see, a year ago now. We've been doing this. And here again, the KISS principle. These first four are the same as small business. Must be independently owned and operated, cannot be dominant in the field of operation. Principal office is located in California. The owners or officers in the case of a corporation are domiciled in California. Now, here's the big difference. The small business PW is a business with 200 or fewer employees, and the GARS is 36 million or less averaged over the last 3 tax years. And if you're a manufacturer, you have to meet both the 200 or fewer employees and the GARS. Now, I want you to know that if you are in public works, okay, and you're just starting out, okay, and you are under the 15 million and the 100 employees, do not get this public works, okay? Because with the small business certification, you get everything in our database. With the small business public works, you only get public works stuff. So if you're selling things that aren't public works associated with, and your small business, you'll get the solicitations. But if you're not either close to the average of 15 million or the 100 employees or less, then get the public works, okay? A lot of people say, well, I'll get both of them. And that's your prerogative if you want to, but you know, you really don't need to get both unless you start getting really close on the 100 employees and the 15 million on the small business certification. Next slide. Our DVBE, to be eligible, you must be at least 10% service disabled. You must own at least 51% of the company with 1 or more disabled veterans, and an LLC, a limited liability company, must be wholly owned by 1 or more disabled veterans. Next slide. And this is the big one. You as the disabled veteran, or whoever's assigned that, must be directly involved in the management and control of the company. And this goes for both the state certification as well as the federal, okay? You just can't be just sitting up there. You have to be doing your job, okay? And the home office must be located in the United States. The DVBE has to live in California. Next slide. Here we have Q&A. So James, are there any questions so far?
Yeah, it looks like we have some questions already.
Oh, no.
I know, what a catastrophe.
Right.
Let's see. Someone's asking about handouts. We do have handouts. But I do want to reiterate, I'm getting a lot of questions about whether you're getting the slides. You will get the slides. Check your email from Eventbrite later today. You're going to get the slides and the video recording. It's also going to be posted to our website, so rest assured. So Delessa Swanigan is wondering, when applying for small business certification, do I enter my business start date as the date I received my EIN from the feds, or the date my LLC documents were approved by the SOS?
Okay, I love that question because number one, I am not a certification officer. And with that, everyone write this name and number down. Her name is Cleta, C-L-E-T-A, and her number is 916-375-4924. She is a certification officer. And to be honest, that would be a question you would have to ask her. We have literally drawn a line in the sand. And so she doesn't answer questions that I'm required to answer. And I don't answer questions that she has, because with her, what she'll probably do is she'll answer your question as you're filling out the application. And because she knows the application so well, she may ask you, well, how did you fill out question number 3 or number 4, whatever. So please contact me.
And that was 916-375-4924, correct?
That's correct.
I've just put that in the chat for everyone.
Okay.
All right. Next question. Will this information apply to out-of-state contractors that wish to do business with the state of California?
Nope. You have to, the whole thing is this is a California-based program. So like I said, all the riffraff from the different states, you can't.
All right. What if you are a new business, independently owned, and you're just getting started?
The nice thing about the state of California, you can be a startup and get certified, okay? With the feds, you have to be in business for at least 2 years before they'll even consider you.
All right. I am a Canadian small business owner. Am I excluded from the program? I would assume that's a yes as well.
Unless you live in California.
Yeah. Do we have any timelines for certification? Would that be another CLETA question?
What's the question again?
Do we have any timelines for certification?
Yeah, well, like I said, you can get certified within 30 minutes. And your certification will be good for 2 years. So I think that answers it.
Perfect. Sasha is wondering, to clarify, to obtain DVBE, the LLC cannot simply be 51% owned by a disabled
That
vet?
is correct.
It has to be 100%?
100%, yes. And I'm happy you brought that up. I thought that was kind of odd, you know, but I found out that after doing this for 11 years, that question came up. And I said, who in their right minds came up with that requirement? And guess what? It was the DVBE community that wanted that. So I'm only going with the status quo.
So it has to be at 100%?
Yes.
Okay. And that's for all, that's not just LLCs, all for LLPs?
No, that's LLCs.
Oh, okay. Is it different
for DVBEs? It's 51% owner.
Okay. All right. We got lots of questions. Thank you, guys.
Yeah, this is good.
Yeah. Let's see. Let me just get rid of that one. Once certification is done, how do we get participating in bidding? When will e-procuring registration be open?
Immediately once you're certified.
Start right away.
I'll be talking about that a little more in a couple slides. So.
Okay. And just a reminder to folks, some folks are entering questions into the chat. Remember to enter them into the Q&A or I won't read them aloud. Cynthia is wondering, how do I get an SB DVBE advocate?
I'll be talking about that at the end of the program.
Perfect. Stay tuned. I have a DBE and a WMBE. I'm not a veteran. Does this information apply to me as well?
You're a what?
DBE and a WMBE.
Oh, those are federal certifications. So that's a federal question. You know, I listed the small business certifications. The big thing with the W, which is woman owned, there is a site visit that the state does not require, that the women owned certifications require that they come out and look at your company.
But in general, this webinar, I think perhaps maybe they're wondering if they're not a veteran, they'll still get a lot out of the rest of
Oh,
the
yeah,
webinar.
you'd be small business certified.
Definitely. All right. All right. For DVBE, I believe, if an LLC does the veteran have to be 10% disabled as well? Like wondering if there are any other options for 0% disabled veterans.
Oh, I'm happy you brought that up. 0% disability only is with the federal. They just came up with that like in the last 10 years, I think. And just for knowledge, I'm on active duty. I got hurt, but I'm functional, et cetera. I don't know if it's really going to affect me. So I apply for a 0 disability so that in the future, 3 years down the road, it was my shoulder that I got hurt and all of a sudden I can't use it anymore. Then they would apply back to Department of Veterans Affairs and say, and the doctor would say, oh, well, now, you can be 50% disabled, whatever. So, but the state says you have to have a minimum of 10% active disability.
Okay. Mariam's wondering, where can I find contracts on IT?
I will show you later on.
Nice and simple.
Jumping that you're all anxious.
Yeah, people are excited for government contracting. Woo-hoo.
That's right, yes.
Is the DVBE person subject to the CUF standards?
Oh, yes, everyone. Anyone getting a contract with the state.
I'm going to open a brand new business. Mujib is asking, is there anything for me in this webinar?
Oh, yes. You get certified and start marketing yourself, and I'll show you who to market to. I'll actually tell you what to say.
Ooh, perfect.
Yeah, I'm full service here.
How can you refuse that offer?
That's right.
I have my certification done last year, but I'm missing e-procuring registration last September. Is there any process to get that registration done so we can participate in bidding?
Well, on a case like that, if you started the process, I would call Kalita and ask her, okay, this is what I did. This is what I should have done. Help me get through it.
Okay, perfect. What do you think? Should we get going on save some of these questions for the next Q&A?
Sure.
All right. All right. See you next time.
Okay. Okay, the benefits of certification. The first thing is access to contract opportunities. We will match your UNSPSC codes that I talked about. The buyer will load up a solicitation with certain codes. If those codes match your profile, you'll get an email. One of the benefits is your profile in Cali Procure. If I'm a buyer and I'm looking for computers, let's say, okay, I would go in, I would ask the sorry about my dog. So what I would do is I would go in, I would do a keyword search of computers. I would get a list, which comes out in an Excel spreadsheet. I would sort it by zip code because I'm up here in Sacramento, and I would then zero in on local companies. The Prompt Payment Act. If you are certified small business, I repeat, small business, not DVBE, but if you are certified as a small business, you are guaranteed payment within 45 days of an undisputed invoice. So if it goes, let's say, 60 days, what happens is they will add a fee. It's a penalty to that invoice. And then another benefit is our reciprocity partners. These are agencies throughout the state that honor our small business and or DVBE certifications. And I'll show you where those are in a slide or two forthcoming. Next slide. Applying the small business preference. Next slide. Okay, we have two bidders, and bidder A is not certified, bidder B is certified. Okay. Bidder A bids 100,000 and bidder B bids 102. Just with this information, what happens is bidder A, he's the lesser of the two bids, he should win. However, in the solicitation, this is for formal solicitations. If it says there's a small business preference, what the buyer will do is he will take the lowest non-certified bid, take 5% of it, and next slide, 5% of 100,000 is 5,000. What he does then is he takes that number and subtracts it from the lowest certified bid. Next slide. Next slide. Okay. And he is now at 97%, or 97,000 rather. So we now have 100,000 for bidder A, and bidder B is 97,000. Look who has the lower bid now, the certified small business. Hey, next slide. Okay, so bidder B wins from the original amount, okay? As it says there, it pays to get certified because it's all free. And that part is done automatically in the bidding process. The other issue is the DVBE preference. And what that entails is, here again, in the solicitation, you can have 1% up to 5% bid preference. And each solicitation is different. And so what happens is you just have to read the instructions. Okay. And here we are at our homepage of Cali Procure. Welcome to California's online marketplace. We're going to check the small business check mark in the middle. Next slide. And on this page, under the third heading, Outreach Resources, we're going to click the third bullet, which is our reciprocity partners. Click it. And this is a list of all the agencies throughout the state that honor either our small business or DVBEs. And you'll notice on the first one, which is BART, Bay Area Rapid Transit, they honor both the small business and DVBE. And you'll notice that there's a line under each one of these agencies, which means it's going to take you to their certification page. So let's go to the next slide. And you see, and BART makes it really easy. It says to click that register green button there, and you will get you'll get certified with them. They will give you a supplier ID number that identifies you in their database. And what I like to tell people, once you get registered here, you want to start an Excel spreadsheet, and you want to put the agency's name, the supplier ID number, and then in their search engine, put in the word procurement or contracts, and it'll take you to their buyer's information. And so then what you would do is get their name, their email address, and their phone number. And then this is, if you will, just like our advocate list that I'll be showing you. And these would be the people at BART that you would want to contact. and make them your new best friend. Next slide. If you are a DVBE, at the end of this reciprocity page are the utilities. And utility companies are not reciprocity partners. However, they do honor the DVBE certification. And next slide, please. When you click Learn More, it has here, join our supplier diversity program. The DVBE program is part of the supplier diversity program that the California Public Utilities Commission, the CPUC, maintains. They have a database. And once you get certified as a DVBE with the state, the CPUC downloads all the DVBEs and puts them in their database. What you need to do is go in, once you are DVBE certified, go into your account with the CPUC and make sure that the contact information is correct, the name and the phone number and the email, I believe. And also I was told, make sure your FEN, your Federal Employer ID number, is accurate also. And this page will show you how to get into the clearinghouse database. Next slide. We have got Q&A again, James.
All right, let's do this. I've been answering some of the Q&A questions by typing them in, so we can get some of them out of the way. Lots of good questions here. Do you have any advice? I know we've already kind of asked this question, but do you have any advice for out-of-state contractors? Should they go somewhere else to?
You can. Well, you can. We'll talk about that here in a minute.
Okay. Perfect. Mm-hmm. Are there any guidelines on how to select the services or products a small business wants to bid on?
I'll show you that too.
Perfect.
These are forthcoming questions to be answered.
No, they're timely then. It's
yeah, that's right. Yes, anticipation.
I'm not sure what they're trying to. How to get a couch assigned to yourself and walk you with a coach? Okay. How do you get a coach assigned to walk you through with your business idea? That sounds like it might be a good option for a small business development center if you're looking for business planning assistance.
Yeah. Oh, yes, absolutely.
So you can usually look up your local just look up, like if you're in Contra Costa County, Contra Costa Small Business Development Center.
Yeah, SBDC.
Google will help you out. Yeah, yes. SBDC, for sure. Okay, for small businesses, what if most but not all of the principal officers are domiciled in California? So does having one officer domiciled out of state disqualify a corporation for small business certification?
That's a CLETA question.
Thanks, CLETA. To get certified, do I call CLETA directly while we're on the CLETA topic?
I would, the registration and the certification is pretty much self-explanatory. But if you do have questions, then yes, call her.
All right. She's the troubleshooting line.
Yes.
If one of my partners for an entity has another business earning more than 15 million plus, in this case, is my firm eligible for SB? Okay.
Remember, okay, what happens on your application, it takes this company and all of the affiliates, okay? So what happens is the system combines all of that gross annual receipts. And if the average exceeds 15 million, then you're disqualified.
And one of your business partners, other businesses would count as an affiliate?
Yes, if they have their own business.
All right. Is there a website we can go to check when our certification expires?
You'll be able to see it on your profile, and I'll show you that, where it is.
At Cal Procure?
Yes.
Perfect. Perfect. Someone's asking about a previous webinar. Go ahead and email me directly at info@norcalptac.org, and we'll try to figure that out. As a startup offering consulting services, is there a difference between being an LLC or an INC?
That's a CLETA question.
All right.
These are easy questions. I can pass the buck.
All right. What are the basic, this is kind of a long question. What are the basic requirements to bid with the state of California? Do you need a property or a bank account that guarantees? And what is the minimum amount of money guarantees?
That would be a CLETA thing too.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, it seems like these are a lot of CLETA questions here. Thanks, Joe. We appreciate your questions. Do direct them toward that phone number that we gave you earlier in the chat there for CLETA. And you can also email me if you'd like me to help you find some resources. How long does the certification process take?
Like I said, it takes you as quick as you can type in. What I tell people is, especially if you have your you have been in business for 1, 2, or 3 years, you have your tax returns. The first thing I tell everyone is PDF them, put them on your desktop, because the last question on the application is attach your tax returns. So if you're a startup, your last 3 tax returns are 0, 0, 0. So that just took off about 5 more minutes of that 30 minutes.
could be good.
That's right, yeah. So
Tracy is wondering about being qualified as a disabled, but not a disabled vet. And as I understand, that is not a certification.
That is correct. Yes.
Yeah. So apologies for that. Yeah, DVBE is kind of a unique thing. So
correct.
Okay, that's a bit general. Raj is asking about small business certification information. We're talking about that today. What is the dollar threshold for entering into a contract with the SB without the need for additional bids?
There's 2 things. One is anything under 10,000, they can do 1 bid. Here again, what the buyer would do is they've got a checklist that they have to go through. For example, if it's been previously bid, how much was the bid? They can contact you and say, hey, I'm looking for this, and I need a quote. And then you give me a quote. It's under 10,000. Call you up and say, congratulations, you got it. Another is our small business DVBE option, which I'll be talking about here. And it's basically under 250,000 for IT and non-IT goods and services, and up to 333,000 for public works.
Perfect. And I have a question, Wayne. Sure. Do is this handout that you gave me, is that something we want to throw in the chat right now, or is
no?
Okay, perfect. All right, I think we should get going, and we have more questions for next time, so save them up.
Good. Yep.
All right.
Okay, Cal eProcure. This is where you register your business and you apply for your certifications. You also find bid solicitations and contracts. You'll find advocates, you'll find the reciprocity partners, you'll find old completed solicitations. It's free. And the website is www.caleprocure.ca.gov. Next slide. And once you get onto this page, on the top right, you'll see that red arrow that says login register. You'll click it. Next slide. And it says how to apply as a bidder, okay? And what happens is once you click it, it has 5 steps: your name, phone number, address, that kind of stuff. And once once you submit it, you get an email and saying congratulations. What I recommend you do then is on the bottom, it gives you a link, and which basically takes you back to Cali Procure. And what happens is they'll tell you to put in a temporary password. And once you do that, you get into your account. And the first thing it says is your password has expired. This is a safety feature for you, so that the system forces you into putting in your own personal password. And there are 4 requirements for a password. One, it has to be a minimum of at least 8 characters. You have to have an uppercase, a lowercase, a number, and a special key. The special keys are when you hit Shift and 1 through 0. Okay, next slide. And then once you're in with updating your password, you come back to Cali Procure. You click the check mark in the middle. Next slide. That check mark goes over to the left, and it says here in a giant check mark, get certified. And so you would click that, and that will take you to the online certification. And you can get certified as a small business PW, a DVBE, a nonprofit DVBE, or just a regular nonprofit. And you can do multiple. You can do small business and DVBE. The one thing I didn't mention is that if you are a disabled veteran and you qualify for the small business certification, get both of them. Okay, next slide. Okay, now, when you fill out your application, you're going to put in keywords and the UNSPSC classification codes. With keywords, you're hearing it from me. You do not want to put it in this format: concrete, comma, environmental, comma, or legal. You want to put it in a giant column. You want to use the singular, not the plural. There is an exception or two that goes there. For example, office supplies. I've never heard of an office supply. So in office supplies, I would use 2 lines, one for office and the second one for supplies. This is a Google search, so that's why we like it that way. With the UNSPSC codes, it's an 8-digit code, and you'll see that in my example, it's printing and writing paper, and the code is 1411500. It's 8 digits. Next slide. Oh, okay, it doesn't have it. Anyway, what I tell people to do is when you're initially getting certified, put in one UNSPSC code. Just you'll do a search and it'll pull up codes. Okay, and you just need at least one code. Once you get certified, you can go back in and really update your profile. And this is where I'm giving some information for the next presentation tomorrow at 10 o'clock. It's about updating your profile. And what will be in the chat is it's a PDF on updating your profile, your keywords, and your classification codes. This is a public access database. You're only as good as your competition. And so I show you how to plagiarize. It really isn't plagiarism. But the whole point is, if you and I are competitors and you have a word in your profile that I don't have, and a buyer does a search, and with that word, you just got, you're ahead of me by one. Okay, so I show you how to do that, and then I show you how to update your codes. Okay, and that, like I said, is forthcoming. James will explain that to you. Why don't you talk about that now, James?
Okay. So you want to go into another Q&A here?
Yeah. That handout that I sent you?
Yeah, I posted that in the chat there. So
there you go.
Folks can take a look at that. The topic for tomorrow's presentation is, like I said, how to update your profile. You can find it on our website, norcalptac.org/calendar.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Okay, lots of questions here. What is the, I've already done that one. 1 second. Slides and recording will be shared. Will you cover how to connect with large businesses so they can subcontract to me to meet subcontract requirements for larger businesses? So
no.
Does this apply to the sole source and multiple contract awards?
No, I say, especially with construction, you have a prime, and then you have subcontractors, which are the small businesses and DVBEs. And all contracts with the state, if they have, if they're large contracts, will have a prime and subs. If they, if the prime wants to do business with us, and we say there's mandatory participation for small business and or DVBEs, they have to comply. If they don't name them in when they submit their quote, they're not following instructions, and so they just get kicked out. It's that simple. So if you are in construction, I would highly recommend that you contact the agencies that do construction to find out if they could give you a list of, contractors who have done business for their agency.
Perfect. And this is the topic for today's webinar is very broad: how to do business with California.
Right. Yeah. Right.
So there, we're gesturing towards other resources to fill in the gaps. We only have so much time today. But I will mention that Norcal PTAC has several webinars on some of these topics that are coming up. So I really, really recommend that you take a look at our past webinars page. If you're looking for information on subcontracting, construction, we've got webinars on that.
Good.
So are reciprocity partners companies or government agencies?
No, they're like the county of San Francisco, Orange County, San Diego County, the city of Sacramento, the city of San Diego, all of them. So they're different agencies throughout the state. It could be water districts, school districts. So.
Great. This is a question that's come up twice. Can you join the supplier diversity program without being a DVBE? What if you're only an SB? No,
you have to be. If you would go to that page, the diversity, here again, diversity, woman-owned, minority, that kind of thing. Okay. They explain that on their page, on their website.
So you could have different certifications, but the California certification is only going to be DVBE.
Right.
For that, yeah.
For that, that's correct, yes.
Perfect. Anything I should know about selling PPE to the state? It's a big topic.
Well, we just had one for masks that just went online in December. And here again, every agency is buying stuff. So you would want to contact the advocates and get your information to them.
Yes, contact your advocates.
Yep.
Jessica's wondering what the website is for certification. I believe that's Cal eProcure. I dropped that link in the chat as well, so take a look at
Oh,
those.
good.
1 second. What if you're a sole proprietor moving from another state in a business for more than 3 years? So
If you're if you put your roots down here in California, then you're a startup. Perfect. In California. So you could have 20 years, you know. I would like to use the example of an architect. He spent 20 years at this giant architect firm in San Francisco. He retired and he got bored and says, hey, I want to get back to architecture. So he creates his own company. Okay. Well, you know, he's a startup, but, you know, in his capability statement, which we'll talk briefly about, that's a resume. You know, he puts down 20 years of experience. So even though, you know, he is a startup, he's got all this experience he's bringing to the plate.
Okay. I think we should keep going. We do actually have 4 more Q&As, so
yeah.
it's plenty of time for your questions.
Okay.
We'll definitely be going over the 1 hour mark, which expires in 2 minutes, but
yeah,
I think that's fine as long as most of you can stick around.
Yeah.
And if you do have to leave, just remember you will be getting the video recording, and you'll be redirected to a survey we'd like you to fill out if you are leaving early, but we hope you'll stick around. We've got a lot more stuff to cover here.
Yeah.
All right.
Bid solicitations and past purchases. The CSCR, as it's called, that's the California State Contracts Register, is where you will find current bids. And Skippers, the State Contract and Procurement Registration System, is where the completed or historical contracts are filed into. Next slide. So we go to caliprocure.ca.gov. On the top in the middle, it says Quick Links. There's a little white triangle that you'll click. It'll give you a drop down. And the first one is View Bids. So we click that. Next slide. And this is the way that we, you can search for a bid. There's 3 ways. The first is putting in a keyword. That's event name. Event ID is, as you can see on the bottom half of this slide, you have event ID numbers. You don't have to put in the leading zeros. So you'd put that in and hit search. And the last is department. And on the right-hand side is a couple lines, and you click it, and it's a drop-down, and it gives you a list of all of the state agencies. And you click that and hit search. And let's say you do DGS, you'll get all of the current bids, solicitations for DGS. Now, just remember that if you're looking for Caltrans, you will not find it under C. And so it's under Department of Transportation. So just kind of remember that, okay? Anyway, and so then on the right side, we go back to Cali Procure and we hit the magnifying glass, get public procurement information, like that. And it has view past purchases. We click that. And on the top, you get a search engine, and you can put in a description, okay? Or you'll notice the 5th line down, it says search, clear, and advanced search. If you click that, advanced search, you will get a new box that has UNSPSC. Now, the UNSPSC codes, okay, when you update your profile, you'll have a list of codes. And so you can go here, put the codes in and hit a search. And just with what we have here, you get this giant Excel spreadsheet. that gives you so much good information. It first starts out with the department. It has the purchase order number, so that if you'd like to see the original contract, you contact the buyer, which is the last columns on this Excel spreadsheet, and say, hey, I would like to have the original contract for bid number, blah, 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 blah. That's how simple this can be. But it gives you an idea of the items bought, when it was, when they completed the contract, how much was the contract. It tells you who actually won the contract, and their supplier ID number, tells you how the contract was submitted. Was it the small business DVB option? Was it some type of contract? Was it a solicitation? The different types of buying will have a list there. And like I said, it'll also give you the buyer. Okay, next slide. There we go. Any questions?
Rapid fire questions here. Do you need an EIN before you get certified?
No.
You do not.
You can use your social.
There we go.
That's a Cleta question, but I can answer that one.
There we go. That one's easy enough.
It's an easy one, yeah.
Could you say something more about advocates? What is an advocate? Who are our advocates? Where do we find them?
Okay. I have a couple slides on that, so if they just hold that question.
Stay tuned. Can you edit the codes after you're certified? I assume
Absolutely.
they mean the UNSPS
yes.
codes. Yes?
Yes.
Perfect. Someone's asking me if I can play the drums. Well, I would really love to, but I'm not. Contact me directly. Is there any way to target specific government agencies, such as the Department of Education?
Oh, of course. Yes. And you would contact them using the advocate list, which Perfect. Is forthcoming.
All right. Someone's asking about DVBE. That is a federal program funded through the FHWA.
Right.
It does relate to Caltrans contracts.
That is correct. Disadvantaged business enterprise. And Caltrans is the one, as well as the CPUC. Both agencies can give you more information on how to do that.
But it is not a California certification for
it's a federal certification.
Right. Is there somewhere we can upload PPE gear information on the California
Nope.
websites?
Nope.
Nope. Nope.
You have to contact the different agencies.
Mm-hmm. If you win a bid to supply a product but do not have enough cash flow to purchase, what do you recommend to fulfill the contract?
Punt. We do not have any programs with the state. Now, I know the feds do, where you could, you can ask for money. In a situation like that, I would basically say buyer beware, be able to do what they're asking to do in the contract. We may be the 5th largest economy in the world, but if you screw up a contract, we're like binoculars looking through your bedroom windows. We see all.
Yeah, you do want to be careful.
Yes.
Make sure you can fulfill the contract.
Absolutely.
Okay. Could you say anything about COVID emergency bidding processes? Is there something different now than regular bidding process?
No.
Not for California. Okay. You mentioned a prompt payment for SB.
Yes.
Does that also apply for DVBE?
No. SB only. And that's one reason why if you're a DVBE, you want to get small business certified too.
Okay, so if you're both, and then you qualify.
You're covered, yes.
Great. Is there a report somewhere that shows procurement dollar amounts by NAICS code or industry classification code, and the agency code? Is there somewhere to look this stuff up, this data?
What you can do is it's a dashboard, and what you can do is it has every agency and what they bought. And if you go to Cali Procure, and in the top right, hit the search engine and type in dashboard, there's 2 dashboards that you can look at.
I will go looking for that right now and post it in the chat once we have that. And I think we should move on to the next the next section, and we'll get to more Q&As.
Okay.
Thanks, Wayne.
Here we go, the DVBE advocates. And they are state employees, and they work in specific departments. They are the gatekeepers. They are there to help you. And don't you forget that. They're there to help you. So next slide. We go to Cali Procure. We click the giant check mark in the middle. Next slide. And we click the 4th bullet, find a SBDVBE advocate. Click the next one. And it says download the advocate directory. And I don't have the Excel spreadsheet for it, but basically it's 240 lines of information. Any agency that procures $100,000 or more must have the gatekeeper, the advocate. And when you open it up, you'll see some agencies that have a yellow line. And I talked about the small business DVBE option, and that is from $5,000 and a penny up to $250,000 minus a penny for IT and non-IT goods and services, and $5,000 and a penny up to $333,000 for public works. 5 years ago, our director said this was a bunch of crap. And the reason being is they have people like me going out to people like you to lure you into getting certified. So it would only be logical for our agency to come to you first if we have a need. And so we created the first policy. And what that did was it dropped the 5,000 and a penny down to 0. So anything up to 250,000 minus a penny for IT and non-IT goods and services, and 0 up to 333,000 for public works. The buyer has to go into the database on either one, the option or the first policy, and find either 2 small businesses or 2 DVBEs. You can't mix the certifications, and you need at least 2 for public competition. Now, I said that if you're a DVBE and you qualify for small business, this is the reason why. Because if I'm looking for DVBEs, you're in that arena. If I'm looking for small businesses, you're in that arena. So that's how this all works. The one thing I'm just going to mention here is a thing called a capability statement. Tomorrow's presentation will go into more detail, but I just wanted to kind of give you an overview. 3 things you want to remember. Number 1, it's only 1 page. This is a resume of what your company can do. You want to Google capabilities, plural, statement examples, and you will get thousands of examples. Find the one that you like. But remember, it can only be 1 page. It can be double-sided. Make sure you have your supplier ID number on there. And if you get the different reciprocity partners, put those on your capability statement. Also, make sure on your emails, and if you have a website, put all of those certifications on there. You never know when you send someone to your website and they go, "Oh, you're BART certified," and it happens to be someone from BART, okay, who could use your services. Or, you send me an email and it's not for me, but it's for CAL FIRE. So I forward it on to CAL FIRE. Well, CAL FIRE looks at your signature blocks and says, oh, you're certified. They pull up your profile and look before they start calling you. Okay, next one. Q&A.
More Q&As. All right. And I think I found the right one. Is that Open Fiscal Transparency Dashboard?
What's that?
Wayne? For spending by annual spending summary.
I believe so, yeah.
Okay. Well, I posted that in the chat, so take a look at that. Let's get to some questions here. Who's the prime vendor for state of California IT service contracts?
You would go to the Department of Technology and look for their advocate. And what you do is you can't, I believe it's the next to last column, or there's a column that has everyone's emails. Now, please listen very carefully. Do not, and I repeat, do not send out a giant e-blast and introduce yourself, okay? We want you to individually talk to these people. It's about building relationships. And by doing this giant e-blast, it is the most, if nothing else, unprofessional way of doing something, okay? So, and then once you do get in contact with them, or if you don't get in contact with them, you have their email. So, attach your capability statement. That's how it's all done.
All right. Could you say something about how to seek micro purchases?
Micro purchases, small purchases. Here again, you go to the bids and do a keyword search. Or if you have something specific, I don't know, it's something that CDCR, that's our prisons, are, here again, go to Skippers, either put in the UNSPSC and do a search or a keyword search, and you'll see all the agencies that bought it, and then contact them. When you do contact using Skippers, please, you'll have an advocate, or you'll have the buyer rather. And like I said, you're given privileged information by knowing who the buyer is. We always want you to go through the advocate. So if you find something on Skippers, look up who the advocate is and do a CC with the advocate. Have the buyer and the advocate. That will go a long way, trust me.
Okay. Can you request a copy of the actual bid that was accepted?
Yes, absolutely, yes.
And how do we do that?
Go to, if it's one that just closed, you should have that information before it closed. And then you would contact the advocate and ask for, whatever the bid number was, and ask for a copy of it.
So you do it through your advocate then?
Yeah, that's the easiest way.
Okay.
Like I said, they're your new best friend.
It's good information. Do you need to have your DUNS DUNS number to become state certified?
Nope.
Nope.
That's federal.
Right. Yeah, you do need the DUNS for federal. That's the first step for federal. If a company is based out of California enters into the SBA Mentor Protege program, which company's information is used for the SB certification?
Say that again?
If a company based out of California enters into the SBA Mentor Protege program, which company's information is used for the SB certification?
You would have to contact the SBA.
Right.
Again, that's federal. I
Yeah,
know nothing.
Yeah. We do have webinars on federal contracting, but that's a pretty specific question there.
Yes.
Is there any limit on the contract value for small business for SB?
No, if you can provide it, here again, know what you can provide. Don't overstate what you can, what you can do, and getting it awarded to you, and then finding out you don't have enough collateral. You don't want to do that.
All right. All right, let's move on to the next segment, and we'll have another Q&A afterwards.
Okay. Yep. Yes, commercially useful function. The laws you see have the small business code, government codes. DVBE has military and veterans code, and the CUF penalties and sanctions for military and veterans code. Okay, so I am required to read these verbatim to you. To perform CUF, your business must execute a distinct element of the work: performing, managing, or supervising the work, performing work that is normal for the firm's business services and functions, negotiating price, determining quality and quantity, ordering, installing, and making payment, not subcontracting a portion of the work greater than expected by industry practices. Next slide. This is what CUF is not. You're not an extra participant in a transaction, contract, or project through which funds are passed in order to obtain the appearance of SBDVBE participation, not being used to perform the work as stipulated in the bid, and no longer used to provide goods and services listed in initial bid response. I just want to give you an example real quick of what not to do. I'm a prime, and my brother-in-law is a DVBE who's certified, right? I call him up and I say, hey, John, could I use your DVBE number, your supplier ID number? I'll give you $5,000 under the table. You just have to sit there. I just said, I have a requirement for DVBE, okay? Unfortunately, things like that go on all the time. My warning to you is, be above the board. There are people out there who try and cheat the system, and and eventually get caught. And we don't show you the penalties, but they can be as little as 10,000 and go up to 50,000 per incident. Okay, you can be your certification can be voided for, depending on how the severity of it, forever, or for 2 or 3 years that you can't participate in state contracting. As I said before, we may be the 5th largest economy in the world, but if you screw up and quote unquote screw the state, I guarantee the feds, obviously the state would know, and local, everyone's got ears to the wall, and you screw up, everyone knows about it. The word travels. So don't. If you have a question about a contract, contact the administrator. Each solicitation has a point of contact, and you'll probably have to type it in instead of a phone call, which is protecting you, because what happens is you have a copy, they have a copy of what you're asking, and you're getting a reply. And so if the administrator doesn't do what they said they're going to do, you've got grounds, to take them, if you will, quote unquote, to court. So, okay, Q&A, James.
Okay. Let's see. I think this is our second to last Q&A. Is that correct? Great. So let's take a look here. 1 second. Can my company utilize foreign support personnel to support a contract my company gets in California? Like, let's say it outsourced to Philippines.
You would have to talk to the administrator.
That's a case-by-case thing?
Yes, case by case, yes.
Okay. Can you try a teaming or joint agreements to try to fulfill a contract that you
Yes,
can't deliver on your own?
okay, that's a joint project, and here again, that would go through CLETA because and you have to be like you both have to be certified, and it's like certifications. You and I could do it as two small businesses, or you and I could do it as two DVBEs. We could not do it as you as a DVBE and me as an SB. You have to have two matching certifications.
Ah.
And then you get another, you basically, the two of you jointly get a new company ID, if you will, for that project. Or you might be able to use that in 5 or 6 other things, other solicitations.
All right. Mark is wondering, if everything must go out for a bid, then why should we contact individual buyers?
Because if it's under 250,000, they don't have to go out for a formal. What you're talking about is a formal bid. If it's under 250,000 for IT and non-IT goods and services, and 333,000 for public works, the buyer does not have to put it out for formal bid. And they would rather not put it out to formal bid, because that means it's, for a solicitation to be created, it takes 2 or 3 months, to put the thing together. And if they can, if it's simple potholes, they've got 50 potholes in Sacramento that need to be filled. It's a $200,000 contract. Why put it out, to the world to bid when they can come up with, let's say, 10 people, 10 businesses, they can get their quotes, and within 3 or 4 days, say, hey, you're the lowest one, go out and do it.
All right, great. And we're getting some questions that are very specific to the asker's industry, which is great. If you want to email me with those, maybe we can go over it together. But for the general plenum session, I'm going to skip those. Do all products or services have to be made, manufactured, or serviced by in the USA? I assume that's a case-by-case basis as well.
Correct.
Okay. Are there any spreadsheet templates available? I'm not sure which kind of spreadsheet they're looking for.
Yeah, I don't know. I need more information.
Okay, feel free to ask that one, Icy Williams. All right, let's move on here.
Okay. And this is basically the last section, I believe. Resources. As James has talked about, the small business development centers, those are the SBDCs. Google SBDC, and it'll give you the map of the United States. Click on California, and then you can pick whichever SBDC is in your backyard. And they do business consulting, planning, marketing, access to capital. The people that are dear to me, especially today, is the Procurement Technical Assistance Center, and that is with established businesses, and they will help you with government contracting. And then we have SCORE. It used to be S.C.O.R.E, and they figured they needed to get rid of the periods and just call themselves SCORE. These are for new businesses. These are former executives that want to help you. If you're a new business, they will mentor you. Next slide. So, in review, we talked about the DVB Small Business DVB program, the development centers, state certifications, the benefits, Cali Procure registration and certification, keywords and the UNSPSC codes, the current bid solicitations, past purchases, which was skippers, the SBDVBE advocates, and CUF. Next slide. Please copy this link down. It's cusserve@dgs.ca.gov. You know, I've been doing this for 13 years, and I tell people, call me, text me, tell me that you got your first contract. Give me the details, you know, or you didn't get your first contract. You thought you had it down. This is just a quick sidebar. About 12 years ago, Sac State did a paper on state contracting, and they found that if you're brand new to state contracting, it's going to take you between 6 and 8 attempts to get your first contract. Okay, and so my word to you is, if you get a contract, I want to know about it. Okay, and you know, please put it in our CustServe email, because you know, we're all in this together. You know, as I said, I'm here to help you. And you know, if there's anything that I can do, you know, the only dumb question is the one you don't ask. And if I don't know the answer, I've got, you know, my coworkers, you know, that can help me. Like I said, I've been doing this for 13 years, 13, 14 years, whatever. And, you know, I know a lot of people. And, you know, if I don't know the answer, I will get the answer for you. Next slide, James, I think is our final Q&A, isn't it? Oh, it's
right.
back to you now.
Yes, we will have one more little Q&A session.
Okay.
But before folks start taking off, I do want to plug some of our upcoming events. And tomorrow, most relevant right now, is the follow-up for this webinar. We're going to have a different presenter, Jermaine from the OSDBS. Is that what you guys are called now?
No, that's one of our names. It's our outreach.
All right. Something with the DGS, OSDBS, yeah. Outreach, Business Liaison. We're drowning in acronyms here. But right. It's going to be a great presentation tomorrow, same time. I'm certified now once. So if you follow all Wayne's advice, get certified, talk to Cleta, then what do you do? So I also want to plug the Contractors Bootcamp. That's a whole series taking in North Regions D1, D2, D3, starting in January 19th. Take a look for that. If you're looking to become a vendor for firefighting, wildland fires, if you're looking to get involved with Viper Forest Service procurement, take a look at our webinar on January 21st. And then we have a Shasta County local government. It'll apply more to more than just Shasta County, but how to work with local governments and contracting, and then how to do business with the California Bureau of Reclamation. That is on February 11th. So we post all of our upcoming webinars on our calendar. And once again, I will, we're also posting all of our past webinars to our website. And that's where you're going to find all the slides. So if the text is too small, as someone's saying, don't worry, you're going to get this slide. And this is all available at that link on the bottom right there. This is just a summary of what's already on the internet. So, and if you are leaving before this last Q&A, please do fill out our survey. We have a satisfaction survey. You can let us know how you felt that PTAC and DGS did. And it really matters a lot to us. We can improve our services, and it matters a lot to our funder as well. So we have time for one more Q&A here. Well, we don't really have time, but we're going to do it anyways. Wayne and I thank you, and if there are any other questions, I will take a look at them right now. We had one interesting question. I don't believe we mentioned CMAS, the multiple award schedule. Could you say anything about SB versus CMAS?
Okay, CMAS is California Multiple Award Schedule. Jermaine will talk about that in more detail tomorrow, but I can just give you a little highlight. Has anyone ever heard of the GSA, General Services Administration? That's the way the feds buy. It's their procurement instrument. Their application is 90 pages long and takes up to 2 years. I said 2 years to get certified. CMAS is the California version of it. Our application is 5 pages, and our certification period is down to 30 days. Now, the difference between the two is, besides the time, our rules and regulations say you have to have a GSA schedule. It doesn't say it has to be your own. And so our people at CMAS will help you piggyback off an established GSA schedule. What happens is, if I get a GSA schedule, it gets put into a public library. It's public access. And so our people at CMAS, and their number is 916-375-4365. Again, 916-375-4365. You contact them, you introduce yourself. After you say, Wayne says hi, they'll know that you're coming from one of my workshops. And you tell them what you do, and they will literally spoon feed you. They will walk you through the entire process. And you can get, 2 or 3 different CMAS, depending on what what you're trying to sell to the state. And the reason that you want to do that is because your state certification is good for state agencies. It's also good with our reciprocity partners. It gets your foot in the door. You still have to fill out an application. But it behooves you to get those connections. And CMAS is used by state agencies, cities, counties, school districts, community colleges, the UC and the CSU systems. And so once you get your certified with your contract for CMAS, put that on everything, just like you did your supplier ID number, put your CMAS contracts underneath that, and then all of your reciprocity certifications and their supplier ID numbers. Okay.
All right, I think that we are out of time for today. So thank you so much. That was probably the most questions we've ever had in a webinar. So I really appreciate the engagement. It keeps it lively. And of course, like a huge thanks to Wayne and you guys. We always like partnering with you. Looking forward to in-person events when we can shake some hands again soon. And to all of you, remember to take a look at our webinar tomorrow and our upcoming webinars, as well as our past webinars. Take a gander at the chat before you leave here. This has plenty of links that you might want to take a look at. The chat does go away when I hit end webinar. And everyone's going to get the slides and the video recording. So anything that's been spoken aloud in the Q&A you will get. The written material, Q&A, and chat will not be translated through. But do check your email for those resources coming out soon, and do fill out that survey. And once again, thanks to Wayne.
And thank you, James, for inviting me.
Absolutely.
Good luck, people.
Good luck. Bye-bye. I'll leave it open just for a second for people to copy down some resources.
Okay, take care, James.